No peace in Iran yet. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the James Show. And that's what we're starting with today. Now, if you haven't been listening to WBAP all day, look, I don't blame you if you were busy this weekend. Let me go ahead and get you caught up since last we had a chat on Friday on the James Show. Because when I left you, I was playing you J.D. Vance as he was leaving to go to Islamabad. I was playing you the media as they were setting up their expectations. And then let's just pick it up on Saturday, the narrative right there. Now, technically, this is Sunday in Islamabad, but we are something like 11, 12 hours behind. So it was still Saturday. For us, J.D. Vance came out and local time, like 12:45 at night in Islamabad, and gave a statement.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
So then we move into Sunday morning futures on Fox News, or is that Fox Business? It was Maria Bartiromo, and she goes back and forth. I think Sunday morning futures is Fox News. But we pick it up there on Sunday morning, our time, current time. Maria Bartiromo was asking Donald Trump about the whole Iran situation. Sounds like it didn't go so well. What's next?
We were having good discussions, and they go to the press. They're very good with public relations, much better with public relations than they are at fighting. They go to the press, and they say, President Trump said it's okay for us to have a nuclear weapon, when I never even spoke to him. And by the way, that would be the only thing I would never say to them. And they know that.
Right.
And then the New York Times, which is a fake paper. It's just a fake. You just believe the opposite. It's so sad when you look at CNN, the New York Times, ABC fake news, NBC fake news. When you look at this stuff, it's so sad to see it. I mean, they report things that they know are false. It's almost treasonous, actually, if you want to really know the truth. It's almost treasonous. But if you're reading the New York Times exclusively and their circulation, by the way, is way down.
Yeah.
It's way down. I'm proud to report that. But if you're reading the New York Times exclusively, you would say that they are doing great in the war.
All right. So he took a shot at the New York Times there at the end. You know, that criticism is only half correct. Yes, the New York Times circulation is dwindling, but so is every newspaper on planet Earth. We now have the internet. We now have our phones. We now have Twitter. All newspapers are dying. Yes, they do stink. Yes, they're horribly biased. So you're correct on that part. But it was almost like he was trying to redirect the attention. Well, Maria Bartiromo brings it back to the one thing that you and I both know, even though we're not geopolitical experts. Well, the number one question after that, peace talks failed. What's going on with the Straits of Hormuz?
Well, we're going to be blockading. It'll take a little while, but it'll be effective pretty soon. And we had meetings yesterday. They, as you said, lasted 21 hours. That was a long meeting. We had some very, very good representatives, as you know, J.D. and Steve and Jared. So we were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics. And that country will not have nuclear weapons. Most countries shouldn't be allowed to have, but that country will not have nuclear weapons.
So this is interesting because I have heard this from so many people like you. If Iran doesn't have a navy, how are they blocking the Straits of Hormuz? And I asked my guests that know more things about geopolitical affairs. And the answer is they don't even have to sink one boat. If the threat is out there loud enough and the insurance company, Lloyd's of London, believes it, they won't offer the insurance. And so no one's going to risk $1 billion worth of boat and cargo going through if they can't get it insured. So it's almost like the filibuster. They don't actually have to have the ability to sink ships. They don't even have to sink a ship. They just have to make people think that maybe they could, or this one company think maybe they could. And the other question comes with that, well, if if they're scared about going through, can't we just Navy escort them through? And if Iran runs some boats out there, just blow them out of the water. If we have such military superiority, let's just run some boats through there. Let's run our boats through there. And they don't want them to go through. And when a boat or an unmanned drone or whatever pops out, knock it down. So Trump made a tweet. Technically, it was on Truth Social, but this is what we call things now. Maria Bartiromo is going to read this tweet back to him and get his response.
Mr. President, you wrote on Truth Social this morning saying that we will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. And at some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in and all being allowed to go out basis. Right. So tell us what you're trying to accomplish with this blockade,
all in,
sir.
All out. Yep. It's called all in and all out. There'll be a time when we'll have them all come in and all come out, but it won't be a percentage. It won't be a friend of yours like a country that's your ally or a country that's your friend. It's all or nothing, and that won't be in too long a distance. No, we're just bringing the ships up. We got a lot of ships, so we're bringing them up. We think that numerous countries are going to be helping us with this also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is.
And while Maria Bartiromo is definitely someone on Team Red, she still asks the legit questions. What are we going to do about all these mines? Do we have minesweepers? What about their Minecraft? Man, it feels weird to say that because Minesweeper is an old video game. Minecraft's an old video game, but here we are.
How will the United States ensure that the mines are removed in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have minesweepers there now. We have highly sophisticated underwater minesweepers, which are the latest and the greatest, but we're also bringing in more traditional minesweepers. And so I understand is the UK and a couple of other countries are sending minesweepers. A lot of countries don't have minesweepers. Think of it. They had 28 mine droppers. What country has 28 mine droppers? 28 boats to drop mines. What country? They've been completely obliterated. They no longer. So we knocked out their entire Navy. They have 158 ships. They have 28 mine droppers. Every single one of them is at the bottom of the sea. Can you believe it? We did that in 4 days.
All right, coming up next, you're going to hear an update from Trump just this morning on the situation, talk about the protests, his deal with China, and the criticism from the Pope. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So Iran peace talks stall. Now what? I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. My first guest is going to help us with a little more veteran experience than yours truly here, who has absolutely 0 hours, 0 days, 0 seconds, 0 minutes of veteran experience. Grant Newsom's coming back on. And Grant, I know, hang on, let him calm down. He's a retired U.S. Marine officer, decades of experience in the sort of region over there. So peace talks break down. Now what? So do they have the ability to restock without outside help? Well, Grant Newsom, doesn't this have a similar effect as occupying Karg Island? You know, because the whole point of that was to keep them from getting oil out of the country. But if we block the Straits of Hormuz ourselves, same thing, right? We're talking with Grant Newsom, retired Marine, now with the Center for Security Policy. The Pope has spoke out in criticism of the war. Do you think that has much of an effect? Because it's been my observation the Pope always speaks out against any war at any time. Well, that's a good point as well. Well, Grant Newsom, Donald Trump said the sticking points are the uranium. You expect us to ever get it from these guys, or are we just going to have to keep killing people until we find the ones that do? Yeah, and I doubt the negotiations would be in Spanish, Grant. Just throwing that out. All right. Real quick, one more question before I get out of here, Grant Newsham. Donald Trump told China that if they're worried about getting their oil out of the region now that we blocked the Straits of Hormuz, you can buy it from Venezuela.
As far as China is concerned, China can send their ships to us. China can send their ships to Venezuela. We told them buy from Venezuela. We have a lot of overcapacity.
So is that a funny thing to say, or is that a legit alternative? All right, Grant Newsham, tell them about the Center for Security Policy. Fantastic. Thank you very much for your expertise, and I appreciate your help throughout the war, Grant. All right, Grant Newsham, Center for Security Policy, Marine retiree. Coming up next, you're going to hear I played you all the updates from over the weekend. You're all caught up. The table is set. I'm going to play you some cuts from Trump. I guess technically it was morning for us, afternoon for him. It was like around lunchtime. Talking about the Iran sticking points and Pope criticism coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, the Pope's not a fan of war. Big shocker there. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Of course, my last guest, Grant Newsham, was pointing out a weird pattern how he seems to make it a point to speak out against American aggression before some of these other countries. Hey, well, whatever. You'll get Trump's response to that in just a second. But let's talk about the sticking point here. Because the Iran war talks failed over the weekend. And we're told the sticking point is the uranium. That's going to be a tough one. What happens if they don't give it up? Do we send boots on the ground to go get it? Is it enough to find out where it's at? And if we can't bomb it from the sky, just bomb the entrances to the secret facility and just bury it under a mountain, never to be confirmed? That doesn't sound that sounds a little open-ended. Doesn't sound like there's a lot of finality, a lot of closure in that. So in this, Donald Trump came out and he gave a statement with some sweet-looking old lady. It was some cancer initiative. And then when he took questions from the media, of course, immediately they didn't want to ask about what he wanted to talk about. They wanted to ask him about the Iran war. So a couple of clips from that. And this happened right before the James Show started today.
Mr. President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance again?
Well, he's done a good job. It's Steve and Jared. They've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear. Very similar. Yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Yeah, at the very end there, he said we're going to get the dust back. So there's uranium dust, which I haven't heard that term being used outside of actually when you talk about the centrifuge process, the enriching process. But apparently he's been having a bunch of conversations about that, about the nuance of enriching weapons grade uranium. And so some of that terminology slipped out. So you can tell he's been doing a little bit of homework there. But I think the message from this weekend is I guess we just haven't killed enough guys. I guess we're still dealing with guys that are dressed like Jedis and not guys that dress like they've just got out of Zara or Old Navy or Gap or whatever. I mean, I hate to be that simple, but it kind of is. Like you can almost tell by looking at him. What's he wearing? Is he wearing his suit and tie, or is he dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi? Because if it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi leader, I don't think we're there yet. Just look. Until we get a guy who's wearing, he doesn't have to be in an American Eagle jeans from the Sydney Sweeney ad. Just normal pants would be nice. And until then, just keep doing that. Donald Trump was asked about the criticism from the Pope over the weekend. Now, this is kind of a touchy subject because, look, I'm not Catholic. Chances are you're not Catholic, and that's okay. But about 30% of the voting public is Catholic. So it's hard to say that this doesn't have any effect. And I have to be careful with myself because I easily dismiss what the Pope says. I'm Protestant, always been Protestant. We've never cared what the Pope says. Why do you care what some guy in Italy in a funny hat is saying about your faith? That's between you and God. If you have any questions, you can go open this thing called the Bible. We don't need anybody to intercede for us. I think Jesus was very specific about it. So the whole process seems a little counterintuitive to what we were taught. However, not everybody thinks like me, so I have to remind myself what the Pope says does matter, even if I can be a little too dismissive of it at times. So here's Trump taking a question about that.
He now says you owe Pope Leo an apology. Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo, and his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. Now you have to have law and order in our country, and That's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country, but we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that. So there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong.
So I appreciate the boldness of that statement. No, the Pope's wrong. Who are you to say the Pope's wrong? A Protestant. That's who I am to say the Pope's. I'm not beholden to whatever this guy says. So I like that, but I also like the part he brought up, because I haven't thought of this, but as a talk radio host, this is a good angle, Trump. Your instincts are great. As far as that goes, you want to talk about, the mayhem and the death and destruction that war causes all over the world and criticize Trump for that. Well, how about some credit for the lowest murder rate in America since 1900, and that's when we started keeping stats. So it's pretty much, it may be the lowest murder rate in American history. How about some praise for that? How many more lives have been saved because this guy did the occupation by the National Guard in some of the worst metropolitan areas we had for big chunks of last year? How many lives were saved because of that? Like, how much did the murder rate come down? How much did the actual nominal number of murders come down? It was by the thousands. Thousands of lives have been saved, far more than the American lives we lost in this campaign. Not saying that justifies the Iran war, but if you're only criticizing the bad things he does and ignoring the good things he does, well, then you're not really that honest of a broker there, are you? So that seems to be the field that we're left with. Coming up next on The James Show, we're going to have a chat with my friend from Real Clear Politics, James Varney. We're going to talk about what happens next after the Iran war peace talks. We're going to talk about blocking the Straits of Hormuz. We're going to talk about the Pope, and we're going to talk about the critics of the Iran war coming up next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, did you see the article in the news about the roofer fraud in Texas? James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Yeah, it was in the Dallas Morning News. Some guy had been running around and saying, "Hey, I'll fix your roof. I'll even help you file the paperwork with the insurance company." And when the money for the claim would come in, the roofer would take the check, not do the work, and then not answer the phone anymore. And so after he had done this to dozens of people and over $500,000 in insurance payouts, he's finally getting busted and looks like he's going to go to jail. But guess what? You still don't have a roof. This is what we're talking about when we say you have to trust the right roofing company. You don't know, and that's okay. You don't spend your life ranking roofers and keeping up with everyone's roofing reputation. You don't do that for plumbers. You don't do that for electricians. You don't do that for car mechanics. You don't do that for anything. So at some point, you are just going to have to trust somebody. Well, trust Blue Ribbon Roofing. They have over 30 years in North Texas, and you can go read. Don't just trust the handsome guy on the radio. Go online, look at their 5-star reviews on Google, read some of those, or really you can go to blueribbondfw.com, and they have an embedded little rectangle on the front of their website that just puts up the last few comments. That's how many good comments they get and how almost all of them are positive. So go check it out yourself. Go to blueribbondfw.com, schedule a free consultation where they'll come out, they'll look at your roof, inspect it, and let you know if you have any problems. And then we can talk about setting up a payment plan or whatever you got to do to get it fixed. But it starts with you going to the website, blueribbondfw.com. All right, so no peace with Iran yet. What's going on with the Straits of Hormuz? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the James Show. Also, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. My next guest, James Varney, with Real Clear Politics and Real Clear Investigations. Welcome back on, sir. So we have this new thing going on where Iran said they're blockading the Straits of Hormuz, and it said, no, you can't blockade it because we already blockaded it first. So I guess we have a double blockade going on now. Yes. Do we care about the Pope's criticism? I mean, I'm very dismissive of it, but I'm a narrow-minded Protestant, and I forget that there are a lot of people who factor into what he says. But do you think that's going to hurt him in the polls or in the midterms, or is that just par for the course? Well, we're talking about blocking the Straits of Hormuz. By the way, this is James Varney, Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Investigations. We've talked about blocking the Straits of Hormuz, or Iran blocking the Straits of Hormuz, and I find it hard to believe that we can't get people through with our Navy. If anyone goes to try and bomb a ship, can't we just say that we'll blow them out of the water? Or isn't there any other company on planet Earth that would do the insurance for these guys? It seems like we're not really trying that hard to get through the Straits of Hormuz, and we really could if we wanted to. Well, and then here's an ugly truth that I think a lot of people know, but they just don't want to say out loud. We probably shouldn't be changing our terms of negotiations. If the negotiations fall apart, we should just bomb this guy and start over with the next guy until we get the guy that says, okay. Yeah, he probably wouldn't have started it. Well, yeah. Well, here's my answer to that. That's my answer to that. Okay, next. Can you talk to us? No, you're the Great Satan. All right, now who's the leader? All right, we're Great Satan still? Okay, you're going to block the straight sword. Just keep doing that until we get a guy who's wearing khaki pants and a Ghostbusters 2 t-shirt or whatever the heck. I'm tired of these guys showing up looking like Jedis. And as long as there's a fella in the bathrobe on the other side of the table, I don't think we're going to get the right answer, Varnes. All right, just look, I'm out of time here, bud. Thank you for chiming in. It's good to have you. Find his excellent work, Real Clear Politics and Real Clear Investigations.com. His articles are really long and thorough and well researched, not that shallow stuff you get on the James Show. All right, hey, coming up between now and the end of the show, we're starting a new contest. This is for Kid Rock tickets. Kid Rock tickets. Yeah, his Freedom 250 tour is going to be in Dallas on May 1st. And we're going to play a snippet of his song, Till You Can't. I mean, it's actually somebody else's song, but when he covered it at Super Bowl halftime, we're going to take that. And if you hear that song between now and the end of today's James Show, and we're going to do it again on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, call in. I'm going to ask, what does this song mean to you? If I like your answer, then you will win one of the 5 qualifying prizes. Each day, Monday through Friday, someone's going to win just regular old tickets to go see Kid Rock. But one of those 5 winners is going to get the grand prize where you get it upgraded. The grand prize experience for May 1st, Kid Rock, 1 pair of premium pavilion tickets, so you're not stuck out on the grass. You also get a Kid Rock meet and greet. Let's see, what else? Limited edition Kid Rock VIP merchandise collection. There you go. And then the rest is the lawn tickets for the other 4 guys. So yeah, a lot of good stuff here. So if you hear Till You Can't between now and the end of the show, you're going to call in 800-288-9227. But it's the same number you call in for any regular phone call. 800-288-9227. Be listening for Kid Rock, Till You Can't. I want to give you 2 tickets today, and one of y'all is going to get awesome VIP tickets and all kinds of merch and stuff. It'll be great. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, let's hear from some of the critics on the Iran war. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the James Show. Now, I am going to fall somewhere in the middle of the spectrum of opinions on the Iran war. If I was president, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have bombed Iran. I wouldn't have started this war. That doesn't mean I think Trump's literally Hitler and destroying the country and whatever. I don't think he's distracted from the Epstein files. I think he's probably thinks he's doing the right thing and what's good for America. I also see this as a chain of events that isn't happening in a vacuum. I actually see the obvious connection between Venezuela and Iran and Cuba and China and all that. There's a bigger picture going on, and this may very well end up being something that I praise in the long run as, being earth-shaking, politically changing in history. But let's see what some other people are saying about this Iran war. First, I hate to even bother with bringing a lefty on because their opinion should mean nothing to you. If everything Trump does is bad, why do you care what they say on the Iran war? You know they're going to say it's bad. If he bombs them, it's bad. If he stops bombing them, he's chickening out. It's like, well, what is it? Is it a horrible war crime and crime against humanity, or is it something that, what a chicken? So it means nothing, but let's just go ahead and give a cursory overview. Because here is Thomas Friedman. He's a writer for the New York Times who has been wrong about every prediction I've ever read this dude make. And he's saying the Iran war may have a good result. Getting rid of the Ayatollahs may actually help stabilize the Middle East, relatively speaking, but it might be a bad thing overall because it would make Trump look good.
I really want to see Iran defeated militarily because this regime is a terrible regime for its people in the region, and nothing would improve the region more than the replacement of this regime with a regime in Iran that was focused on enabling its people to realize their full potential and integrating peacefully with other countries and stop occupying Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. So I'm all for that. The problem is I really don't want to see Bibi Netanyahu or Donald Trump politically strengthened by this war because they are two awful human beings. They're both engaged in anti-democratic projects in their own countries. They're both alleged crooks. They are terrible, terrible people doing terrible things to America's standing in the world and Israel's standing in the world. And so I really find myself torn. I want to see Iran militarily defeated, but I do not want to see these two terrible people strengthened.
That is so awful. Yeah, well, there may be peace in the Middle East, but if my political opponents are going to benefit and look like decent human beings, then it's not worth it. What kind of evil political polarization have you fallen into, Thomas Friedman? All right, so that's absolutely ridiculous because the first 27 seconds of that soundbite, it was actually kind of heartwarming. It was heartening. It's like, well, look, I know he doesn't agree with Trump, but at least he can admit that this may have some positive outcomes. It may stabilize a few arenas of conflict in the Middle East. Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi rebels. So why would you? Oh, that just breaks my heart. All right, so let's go to a piece of criticism here from a right-winger, someone who doesn't think Trump is inherently evil and we can't say anything nice about him. This is Ann Coulter. Now, Ann Coulter is so fun when she's on your side. When she's not on your side, you can see why the other side hates her. But here she is giving the Team Red criticism of the Iran war thus far. And whether you agree with her or not, you got to admit, it makes you think a little bit more than the Thomas Friedman criticism for sure.
Not very happy with him. Not very happy with him at all. I think this Iran war is a fiasco. I thought it from the beginning, and I think it's very hard for anyone to dispute that at this point. I mean, the alleged war objectives start with knocking out their nuclear power. If anything, the rest of the world has gotten the message now, oh my gosh, we better get a nuke, develop a nuke. That's our number one goal for our entire country because who's Trump's best friend? Kim Jong-il of North Korea. And why is that? Even though he's a much more brutal dictator, he has weapons that are capable of actually reaching the west coast of the United States. But he has a nuke. So let's be really nice to him. Changing the leadership. Okay, I'll go along with the claim of Trump's that he's changed the leadership just so we can convince him, you've won, please stop now. But don't really think that's happened. The Kurds are going to help. He's going to liberate the Iranian people. None of this has happened. Now our sole war objective is to open the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before he started bombing the crap out of them. And not to mention, I think a lot of very bad things have come out of it. I'm not a pansy when it comes to war, when we need a real war. But this was an unprovoked attack, and we're killing little girls.
Which, I know she's not one of the people that thinks Donald Trump is just ruthlessly bloodthirsty killing little girls. She knows it was an accident. She knows that when you have 10,000 missile strikes and bombing campaigns, that every once in a while you're going to get some collateral damage. But she's pointing out that this is the kind of info that is going to be used to beat this guy down. There are a lot of low information people floating around America that aren't paying attention. They just get a cursory headline of the news. And if you're giving them ammo, this is going to hurt you at the ballot box. And so it feels really weird for me in this one, because I'm not as far against it as Ann Coulter is, but I'm not as for it, definitely, as Donald Trump is. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm an anti-war guy. I wouldn't have done this. So far, it's not, damning or a complete catastrophe. We've lost, 15 guys, and every life counts, but it's not like we've lost tens of thousands of our fellow Americans. So it feels really weird for me to be in the rug section on evaluating the Iran war. There was an episode of Louis C.K.'s old show where he was asked to evaluate a rug. He was shopping for a rug with his wife, and she was upset that he didn't have a stronger opinion on the rug, but he was just trying to make the case that maybe I'm not supposed to have a strong opinion on the rug. Maybe I don't have enough information to have a strong opinion on this rug.
I don't know what I think of the rug, I'll tell you. It's fine.
It's fine? That's it. That's your opinion. That's all you have to offer.
It's a rug. It's fine. That's the level of passion that a rug warrants. It's a rug. It's not. It doesn't solve all my problems, but it doesn't make me angry. It's a rug. It doesn't smell bad. It's flat. It's blue. It goes on the floor. It's not coated with AIDS, and it's not a portal to another place. It doesn't make me, but it's fine.
All right. So coming up next, Kamala Harris is thinking about running for president. That's not a punchline. No, that was serious. No. You'll hear it coming up next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Let me guess. You hope Kamala Harris runs for president, don't you? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, three funny guys that are on before the James Show, 11 to 2 on WBAP. But she was in a recent interview, and she kind of threw this out there, and this is worth talking about, Kamala Harris.
So in your openness to talk to the American people, as I said in introducing you, you and I go back over a quarter century.
Yes.
And if there's anyone that has had open communication, is you and I. Mm-hmm. So are you going to run again in 28?
So, okay,
I tried to be subtle, but I just figured I'd go right
well,
at it.
that's as subtle as Reverend Al Sharpton could ever be. We love you for many things, but not being subtle. Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it. But let me say this. Let me say this. I am thinking about it. But let me also say this. Look, I served for 4 years being a heartbeat away from the presidency of the United States. I spent countless hours in my West Wing office, footsteps away from the Oval Office. I spent countless hours in the Oval Office and the Situation Room. I know what the job is, and I know what it requires. I also know, one of the things that I've been doing, Rev, is I've been traveling the country the last year. I've been spending a lot of time in the South and many other places. And the one thing I'm really clear about also is the status quo is not working and hasn't been working for a lot of people for a long time. And part of the issue is the need to get rid of some of the bureaucracy in government and to understand that the people they don't want process, they want progress.
Wasn't that just great? Wasn't that just... You can hear in the stumbling, pause-filled, awkward answer to a very obvious question that she's probably getting everywhere she goes. You don't have a solid answer for that? You have to stumble through your answer? Oh, please, God, run again. Please run again. Look, I got a talk show. I got to fill 3 hours a day, and they are funnier when we have people like this just run around.
You can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, What can be unburdened by what has been?
What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been?
What can be unburdened by what has been?
What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be?
Oh my goodness. Let's just go ahead and... Can she run, please? That's it, and that should be a bad sign when you're thinking about running for president. The other side's like, yeah, please, God, run. Because people that don't have a radio show to fill want her to run again. You know how bad she would lose if she ran again? Anyway, that'd be fun. I have to answer a sharp criticism here. And the reason why is because it's right. It was pointing out something that I was doing in error. And I'm not above admitting that I'm wrong from time to time. And so here it is. In the talks about the peace deal between the Iran war, the Straits of Hormuz, the United States, Israel, all that, I was making the point that maybe we're going to have to keep bombing people until we have people that we're talking to from Iran that don't look like Jedis. Well, Robert sends me a Facebook message. He goes, you're making the Jedi sound like the bad guys. The Sith Lords dressed in robes, just like the Jedi. Oh, my goodness. Just like the Iranians. Even Obi-Wan had pants on in episodes 1 and 2. Oh, Luke had pants on in every Star Wars. Sorry, I'm being picky, but, we got to be holding everyone accountable for producing the correct info. And you're right. Maybe I should say that we shouldn't be negotiating with someone who's dressed like Count Dooku. But is that too in the weeds? Is that too nerdy? Does everyone get that obscure pop culture reference? I'm not sure everyone would get that. I'm not even sure if everyone would understand if I said Sith Lord. Because you're a nerd. I'm a nerd. We get it. But not everyone's out there is a nerd. Remember, we forget just because we're dorks. Not everyone's a dork. Miss Parker wouldn't get it. Hi, Miss Parker. She's not a dork. So I think I have to say Jedi. I would like to be able to say Sith Lord, but I'm not sure if that's a universal enough pop culture reference to really stick as well as Jedi. But if I could get away with it, if I had any proof, you're right. Count Dooku, Lord Palpatine, any of that would be good. Heck, even General Grievous. All right, coming up next on the James Show, I got to remind you about the Kid Rock contest. If you hear Till We Can't from Kid Rock, you need to call in immediately. I got to give away some tickets between now and the end of the show. And I'm doing this all week. The contest is every day I give away a pair of regular old lawn tickets to go see Kid Rock at the Freedom 250 Tour May 1st, Dos Equis Pavilion, so right down the road here. And then one of my 5 daily winners is going to get the grand prize, where you get the premium Kid Rock Pavilion tickets, you get some special merch, and you get a meet and greet. And I'm so jealous because I don't even think I'm getting a meet and greet. So if you hear Till You Can't, the song that he's saying at halftime of the Super Bowl, call in immediately. I'm going to ask you, what does this song mean to you? And if I like your answer, you win. It really is that easy. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And some of you are having a hard time understanding how the Kid Rock contest is going to work. That's okay. It's the first day we're doing it. We're going to be doing it all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, and that's it. Each day, someone's going to win a pair of tickets to go see him. He's going to be here May 1st. It's his America 250 tour. And the 5 daily winners, one of those is going to get VIP tickets. They're going to get them upgraded to pavilion tickets and to go to the meet and greet and get some special VIP merch. But you're not supposed to call until you hear the song, till you can't. It's the song that he sang halftime of the Super Bowl. And so unless you hear this song, you don't call. People call every time I mention this. 800-288-9227 is the number. 800-288-9227. And you only call when you hear this song.
If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance.
And I love messing with people because there's a bunch of people holding their phone right now and they're like, well, does this count? Do I call now because you're playing the song and you said call when the song's playing, the song's playing now? Or are you just using this as an example of call when you hear this song, but this doesn't count now? No, it counts now. I'm just messing with you. Call in now, 800-288-9227. I'm not going to give it to the first person that calls in. I'm going to give it to, we're going to hear 3 people. I'm going to hear what this song means to you, and then we'll pick. It'll be me and Good Garrett. We'll pick for you. There the phones go. And we'll pick what this song means to you. In the meantime, while Good Garrett is loading up the phones, I am absolutely fascinated with this story about Eric Swalwell. If you've been listening for more than 5 minutes, you've heard about it on our news updates. And this is crazy because this story came up last week and I was dodging it because it's very tabloidy and gossipy and, as childish and immature as I can be on the James Show. I don't want to turn this into the high school lunch table. But the accusations kept getting worse and worse. And so now it's not that he had an affair, because he already had an affair. He had an affair on his previous wife with the Chinese spy for years. Do you remember that? Remember her name was Fang Fang, right? Just for memory. Eric Swalwell's the same guy that got in trouble for not just having an affair with a Chinese spy. So you gotta give it up to the Chinese for thinking, well, how can we get some inside info out of a member of Congress? Well, let's just send some honeypot over there to butter him up. And, if we get a woman who's willing to do the deed, he'll probably tell her everything. And that's exactly what happened. And I don't mean to be mean or shallow or anything. Take this for what you will, but it does count. She wasn't even that hot. Like you would think, wow, China, a land of 1.3 billion people, whoever they choose to honeypot a congressman with must be absolutely beautiful. And it was like, no, actually kind of looked like a slump buster, which I thought was terribly disrespectful. And it makes Eric Swalwell look even worse. You're over here cheating on your wife, tearing your family apart, having coitus with a foreign spy, and she's a 6? You're selling out your country for a 6? So this is the same guy. He just can't stop doing dumb things with his undercarriage. He's in trouble for repeatedly sleeping with a staffer. A couple times it sounds a little rapey. And we'll get some reaction to that latest scandal coming up after we solve this Kid Rock contest. All right, we'll start with Rod. Hey, Rod in Fort Worth. You want to win the Kid Rock tickets? You tell me what the song means to you. Till we can't. Go.
Just means slow down and quit worrying about the crap we worry about in life, and focus on the important things.
I love it. Okay, that's a good start. Rod's in first place. Donovan, Dallas. Tell me what the Kid Rock song means to you.
Live life. Don't sweat the small stuff. Enjoy and treat people the way you want to be treated.
That's good, too. This is going to be tough for us, Good Garrett. Last contestant, Steve in Greenville. You're on the James Show. What does the Kid Rock song Till You Can't mean to you?
It's always kind of reminded me that life has an expiration date. So you better enjoy it while you got, those people in your life.
All right. Well, you want to confer here? I'm going to put you back on hold, Steve in Greenville. Hey, Garrett, I'm holding up a number. Does that sound good? Does that sound right to you, good Garrett? This one? Yeah? Okay. Well, the judges have conferred. The winner is going to be Stephen Greenville. All right, Stephen Greenville. Now, congratulations. There's a little extra complication to this compared to most of our contests. First off, Steve, can you go on May 1st, no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
8 days before my birthday. You bet I can be there.
Hey, fantastic. It's like 7 days before mine, but y'all will hear about that on the James Show. All right, so Steve, here's the deal. You're going to get, right now, you've already won a pair of lawn tickets, so you're going to get to go see Kid Rock. However, out of the 5 winners for this week, one of you is going to get upgraded to the VIP tickets. So we'll get your information and we'll send you an email, and I think you're going to get another email at the end of the week. So you might want to keep an eye on that. More so than most of our contests. Cool, Steve?
Hey, absolutely. You got it, man.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold. Good Garrett will get your information because regular Garrett's out. And guys, that didn't win, Donovan, Rod, those were good answers. I'm doing this again tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the Kid Rock contest. All right, more about Eric Swalwell, who can't stop sleeping with people other than his wife, coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we have a nasty congressional scandal on our hands. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. And this is so common. We have multiple going on right now. And the talk is around shop is doing an even swap here. By the way, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And they were talking about this today because it's such a weird story. Eric Swalwell, congressman who's already been in trouble for having an affair or whatever, had an affair again, but it's with multiple times. And this is sounding more like a Me Too story than a oopsie, I got a little sexually adventurous outside of my marriage kind of situation. Because it sounds like not all of them were 100% consensual, and it sounds like it was the old power dynamic of the boss, leaning on one of his subordinates, and she wasn't really into it, but, this was a powerful man, and she wanted to keep her job and all that. So it sounds terrible. On the other side of the aisle, from the state of Texas, Eric Swalwell is a Democrat, Tony Gonzalez a Republican. This is a guy who already had to drop out of his runoff in the primary against Brandon Herrera down there by San Antonio because of the revelations of his affair, also with a staffer, with the same power dynamic, boss and staffer. Except this woman ended up killing herself, and I don't know if it's directly related because these events were almost a year apart where he broke up with her, and then she cut him off, and then he fired her, and almost a year later, she ends up self-immolating. She set herself on fire for the suicide. But there was a whole lot of other stuff going on. Nobody wants to touch him. So why don't we, look, you guys will vote to expel Eric Swalwell. If we vote to expel Tony Gonzalez, then we'll both get rid of our ugly members. We can look like we're standing up for what's right and not tolerating the degradation of the reputation of Congress. Shut up. You guys, you wouldn't want to get rid of Eric Swalwell if there wasn't someone on the other side to balance out the lost vote, because we all know that they think that's the most important thing in the world is these votes. And if you're in a position to gain or maintain power, I guess if you're completely soulless, that makes sense. But a lot of people are having fun because you get little flashbacks in history, like let's go back in time to whenever Brett Kavanaugh was getting nominated and sworn into office. Was that 2016? I think it was. Here's Eric Swalwell talking about the accusations against Brett Kavanaugh, and this sort of, tough talk doesn't really bode well for him now, does it?
For Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what? Bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent.
Yeah, so what about now, Swalwell? You want to bring in all these women? Because when the first woman spoke out and actually went on the record, and like you saw in many of these Me Too subplots, other women started coming out. Yeah, he did that to me too. Yeah, he kind of leaned on me. Yeah, he sent me inappropriate messages. Yeah, he tried to touch me one time. Yeah, he tried to... So there's a small parade here that apparently Eric Swalwell has sort of that Bill Clinton mystique where, I don't know if you've ever realized, put together a timeline, but that man has date raped a blue streak from being the attorney general of Arkansas to governor to D.C., Chicago, wherever he ended up. There are women complaining. He touched me. He put his hand up my skirt. I was crying because my husband had just committed suicide and he tried to do me. This guy. So Eric Swalwell's in a fun position from my point of view. From his point of view, not so much. Anna Paulina Luna, congresswoman from the state of Florida, happens to be a Republican. She's actually drafting the bill that's going to do the big swap. And this feels like a sports trade. Hey, you give us Kenny Clark, we'll give you, and a couple of draft picks, we'll give you Micah Parsons. Right? You give us Tony Gonzalez, we'll give you Eric Swalwell. Or I guess it'd be opposite from Anna Paulina Luna's point of view. You give us Eric Swalwell, we'll give you Tony Gonzalez.
But Eric has an option. I'm going to bring this vote next week. If Democrats want to protect this type of garbage, I wouldn't recommend it, but they're going to be put on the board for that. I'm tired of this. I'm not going to serve with these sexual deviants. That's not what Congress is all about. And I think that we need to focus on the business of the American people, and it doesn't include this stuff. So let's get rid of them.
Well, I like the sound of that. It'd be hard-pressed to argue against it. No, they should stay in office. But there has to be a line that isn't absolute as far as ethical versus warranting expulsion goes. Because if cheating on your wife is a problem, if cheating on your wife is an ethical bound too far, then how do you end up with half the people that are in Congress? You would have expelled Ben Franklin from the Constitutional Convention under those mores. You would have expelled Donald Trump when he was running for president all 3 times. So it's not just the cheating. It's not just the sex outside of marriage. It's not just the affair. I think the line too far for both Tony Gonzalez and Eric Swalwell is something that we all kind of agreed on after Me Too. And that if you're a boss and you're leaning on a staffer, that's too far. It's hard, and unless y'all fall in love and get married and have kids and you're soulmates, it's hard to argue against the idea that maybe the woman wasn't totally into it. She was just doing what it takes to keep her job. She was doing what she thought she had to do to advance in the world. Because for her, it's not just whether or not I end up on my back under Eric Swalwell. Is my political career going to continue and maybe even thrive in this new environment? Or is it going to be over immediately, never to return again? And without the promise of, if you lose this job, you can maybe get another one. They're not just being asked for favors from their boss. Their entire career is at stake. And when you put it like that, I don't want anybody to put Miss Parker in that situation. I don't want anyone to put my daughters in that situation when they're adults. Obviously, they're not on anybody's staff right now. 10 years old would be a terrible congressional staffer. But it couldn't have happened to a worse guy, because Eric Swalwell is one of those guys running around calling Trump Hitler all the time.
Donald Trump is America's Hitler.
Wee! Now go get a new job, sir. I think we're done with you here. So, yeah, should he lose his job? Probably. Yeah, I think you would be shocked at how forgiving I am for some of these, ethical peccadillos that some of these guys come with. But after you read history, if you read enough history books, you almost kind of expect it. It's par for the course. These powerful men with these giant appetites, these giant ambitions, also have giant appetites for other things. And I almost feel weird that maybe that's what's holding me back. Maybe if I started sleeping around or leaning on my staffers, maybe my career would take off and I could end up in Congress. And that is terrible sarcasm. Please don't anyone take that serious and send a note to my damn bosses. And if you're like, James, why'd you say that? It happens all the time. People are always trying to get me fired. The Outlaw Music Festival, featuring Willie Nelson, Wilco, Sheryl Crow, Lucas Nelson, and more, coming to the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory July 3rd. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Or if you want to try and win a pair of tickets from us to go see old Willie, text the word outlaw to 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. It's the same number you call in for just a regular call on the show. Coming up next on The James Show. Hey, did you hear Taylor Sheridan has a new show that's based in Frisco called Frisco King, and they're starting to film now? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we have some terrible bond proposals that you're going to be deciding on pretty soon. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, thank you. So good being your host. Look, I'm going to pick on one of our big cities today. I'll pick on the other one tomorrow because they're both so bad. I could do a whole hour on each one, but I don't have that much time. We got to do Dead or Alive in a half hour anyway. So I'm going to do what I can here to mop up what's going on with the Fort Worth situation first. And then tomorrow, we're going to have some issues with the Dallas situation. Because I don't know if you've seen the math here, but the state of Texas has the worst school debt in the country. It's not even close. I know. And we're piling on more. It seems like almost every year. Public schools in Texas, just one state. What do you think our cumulative bond debt is? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but these bond debts are things that you're going to have to pay off through your taxes to the state, through your taxes to the school. So you have $148 billion in bond debt. That's what we owe. That's not even what we're going to pay. The interest it takes to pay off these bonds over the next whatever years is another $88.3 billion. You understand that with a B? This is one state. So what do we have? Over $230 billion we're already on the hook for as Texas taxpayers. That's just for school debt. That doesn't have anything to do with roads and bridges. That doesn't have anything to do with police and firemen or the court system. That doesn't even... I mean, what does this go into? We have opulent stadiums. We have giant jumbotrons. We have fantastic looking campuses. But are our academic scores getting better or are they receding? What are we getting for all of this money that we're already spending plus over $200 billion worth of debt? Half of the people listening right now live in a school district that's so unacceptable that they pay for that through their taxes and then they come out of pocket to send their kids to a private school. Does it never end? Isn't there a breaking point? Isn't there a number by which we should not cross? And what is that number? Because I think we've got to be way past it. So I'm going to pick on Fort Worth today. Tomorrow, I already got half of Dallas's segment ready. It's just as bad. WFAA did a great rundown. Give them credit this morning.
You do have a say and a vote. Now your tax dollars are spent. The people here in Fort Worth have a decision to make, and tonight a chance to be informed on their vote for $845 million worth of bond propositions. So the community engagement event happens tonight ahead of the May 2nd vote on 6 ballot items. The 2 big dollar bonds are Prop A to spend $511 million on streets and mobility infrastructure improvements, and Prop B spending $185 million for park, recreation, and open space acquisition and improvements. Some of the other propositions devote money to library improvements, affordable housing, a police and fire and emergency communications facility, and animal shelter improvements. According to the city website, the size of the bond package does fit within the existing property rate, so no tax increase is anticipated. But it is a chance to ask these questions to city leaders tonight at the Diamond Hill Jarvis Community Center at 6 o'clock. There's going to be 2 more of these events later in the week on Thursday and Saturday.
Vote against all of these at all times. Every bond proposition from here on till the end of time. Just assume the answer is going to be no. These all sound terrible. You understand how crazy it is to go to the people of your city in any state and say, well, we need to take out a bond proposal for streets and for cops and for parks. No, that's what you're supposed to do with the first money we send you. But what are you spending all this other money on? You understand this is all fungible. They just lie to you and tell you, we just need this money for streets. It's the same trick they pulled when they got the lottery passed in all these states. Yes, this money's earmarked straight for education. Which, it's not a lie. That money is going to go straight to education, but it's not like they're going to pile that onto the existing education budget. They're now going to take the monies that they were previously using for education and use them on things that you don't like, that wouldn't be popular in the court of public opinion, or else they would be saying, that's what the prop is about. But they've always got to give you the poverty story. Oh, jeepers, if we don't pass this bond, we're not going to have streets anymore. Well, then you're fired. All of these bonds are unnecessary. It's like, James, how can you say that? Look, you're voting for a tax increase. But James, in the news report, they specifically said that this wouldn't raise taxes because it fits under the existing tax structure. Well, then if you have some extra money at the end of the month after you collect taxes, use that for the streets. No, so you have extra money. So it's not going to raise taxes. But you need extra money because we don't have enough to fix the streets. That math doesn't math. Library, housing, animal shelter, things we shouldn't even be spending 1 cent of your tax dollars on. 911 call center, yeah, we need to have that. But shouldn't that already be covered with the existing taxes that you're paying through the nose for? Because y'all seem to have money anytime someone wants to put a $400,000 art installation at the new police academy. Y'all seem to have money anytime someone wants to put a new renovation on some obscure theater that none of us have ever been to or will ever go to. Oh, you got money for all that. You've got money for the latest mural about how white people are evil or the next civil rights the icon or historical marker. I get it. White people are evil. And if you think I'm exaggerating, walk around downtown Dallas. Just spend like 2 hours. Just walk up and down Main Street, Elm Street, Commerce Street, and tell me how many reminders you have on a daily basis that white people are evil and this country sucks. It's ridiculous. Yeah, you got all the money for that. You've got all the money for rainbow sidewalks, but we got to take cash out in debt. So you have streets. Don't be this gullible. Don't be a dupe. Vote against all these. May 2nd, you have props. Every single one of them in Fort Worth is trash. I read all of them. None of them are necessary. They are all that. Listen, the job of the politician is to get into office, turn around, talk to the media, try and scare you into giving up more money to them. That's all any of these grifts are. That's all any of these are. Oh, we've got to raise money for XYZ, or what happens? People will die. It's just ridiculous. And don't worry, Dallas, I'm coming for you tomorrow. But for Fort Worth, $511 million to maintain your streets. What's the current street budget? What is that being wasted on right now? You've got money for bike paths, but you don't have money for regular streets. You've got money for all these choo-choo train tracks. And, oh, we've got to build a new rain shelter at the choo-choo train station. You got money for that, but not for actual streets. And parks, what do you do? Mow it? How much money could you possibly need for parks? 800-288-9227. I'm going to continue ripping up these terrible bond ideas next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, does your knee hurt? Does your back hurt? Does your elbow hurt? Do you have some sort of injury that's just lingering and sending you this constant buzz all day, every day that you're in pain? James Parker here for QC Kinetics. Now, what would you be willing to pay to have that distraction, to have that quality of life be improved? Well, QC Kinetics might be able to help you out. They might not. They can't help everybody. But you go in, you get the consultation. That doesn't cost you anything. Find out how these treatments work. Find out who they work for. Find out what your injury is and if it's right for you. Because it has a lot of things that people are looking for. Number one, you don't want to do surgery. I've never had surgery. I don't want to start now. I don't want someone putting me under an anesthetic. I don't want it taking up a whole day of time. I don't want there to be a long recovery process. I can't afford to miss work. I don't want to be put on pain-killing drugs whenever I wake up from the surgery. I don't want to have to go through a rehab. Well, if you have those same concerns, QC Kinetics fixes all of them. It's an outpatient operation. They don't have to put you under. It can be done in a matter of minutes. There's no rehab. There's no downtime. You don't have to miss work. You go in, they do the treatment, you walk out a few minutes later, and it may put you on the path to your new pain-free future. Now, I don't know if it's going to work for you. Nobody knows if it's going to work for you until you call and go get the free consultation. 972-972-8610. Call QC Kinetics right now. 972-972-8610. I like my audience sometimes. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. This is The James Show. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, who are on before me. But I'm so impressed when I talk about bond issues because it sounds boring. It's not sexy. There's no racial things about it. No one's showing cleavage. There's no celebrities involved. But it's one of the issues that actually affects you probably more than most of the stuff, definitely more than most of the stuff we talk about on this show. And when I've talked about this, like in Bug Tussle, when I've been on the radio, or in Waco, or in New Orleans, basically everywhere but here, I get crickets on the phone when I talk about this. But now the phones are lit up. Thank you for being intelligent enough to want to talk, to understand how important this is. Because I know there's a big chunk of the people out there, when they're flipping through the radio station, they're like, bond issue, snooze, which is a terrible approach. This is the reason why you can't afford living in the big city. This is a reason why half of you are commuting an hour and 20 minutes a day just to work. Conley in Fort Worth. You're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. New people were making fun of the terrible ideas for Fort Worth bond proposals on the May 2nd ballot. Go ahead, Conley.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
But one of the bond issues there in Fort Worth, they're asking for $845 million. Well, first off, we're still paying on bonds from 2022 that won't be retired until 2047. So they're stacking debt on top of debt. And the $845 million is not the full price because they don't add interest into that.
Right.
If you take the standard interest of 6%, we're looking at over $1.1 billion for these bonds.
Oh, look, here's the worst. Everyone knows where Prosper is, right? You just keep going north. You'll hit Prosper from right here. You know how much the Prosper Independent School District has in debt? $2.4 billion with a B dollars. 2.4. That is Prosper, bro. Prosper.
And Fort Worth sits on hundreds of millions in surplus. Plus, they make over, I think it's $28 million a year on dividends and interest on the taxpayer money that they hold back.
All right. Well, you get it. How do we get the rest of the country, at least North Texas, to stop voting for these stupid bonds?
I'm doing my best as I can and getting the word out and be running for city council next year.
All right. Well, I started a radio show. That's all I can do. Thank you, Conley. Chris, Fort Worth. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Your thoughts on the Fort Worth bonds?
Yes, sir. James, I just wanted to thank you for the great job that you do to wake people up because we need more of you out there to do it.
Well, Chris, thank you, but it's not working. We can't stop voting for these terrible things.
You can't quit now, buddy, but the bottom line of it is these people have been spending our money wrong for years. Look at that city council Taj Mahal that they built, and they promised us all of this hoopla, and then all of a sudden they're building a new chamber, not a chamber, but a city hall chamber behind it. That wasn't a part of the package. It was all supposed to be in one building, but they got away with that. Yep. You ought to go see it. It looks like the Taj Mahal. And then on top of that, they have the gall. I got 2 more points. They have the gall to ask for a raise. I'm happy to pay them if they earn the money, but give them a raise? I don't think so. And then the third thing, you probably don't know this, but they decided last year, before the end of the year, they were going to put up a signage out on 121, not 30, 121, where people come in from Hurst, Euless, Bedford, not coming in from Dallas and Arlington or Louisiana or whatever, to welcome them to Fort Worth. And you know what kind of signage that was? $1 million worth of signage. And what it is, I figured it would be some pretty elaborate signage. No, it's metal. It's iron metal cut out of Fort Worth. It says FORT WORTH. So it's spelled out on 121 between Haltom Road and Beach on the north side of the freeway, and we spent $1 million on that with no participation involvement from taxpayers.
And we got to take out debt to do that. That's just not believable.
Yeah.
Well, Chris in Fort Worth, maybe we can stop it eventually because look, the Real Clear Investigations. I just talked to Varney from Real Clear Investigations earlier in today's show. They were the ones who wrote about the Prosper situation, $2.4 billion in debt. By the time they get finished paying it off, there's another $1.8 billion in interest. This tiny little town that's just north of Frisco, between Frisco and Salina, they're already on the hook for $4.2 billion together. If you add that together, that's $127,000 per student. And that's not in their taxes. That's not in their regular revenue. That's just in debt. Bill, Arlington, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yeah, you're talking about my favorite subject.
Wow, okay. You must be cool.
Yeah, no, this stuff is crazy. I've been fighting bonds in Texas for years. And they've got this affordable housing idea. I thought this was Fort Worth, not Austin, Texas. I mean, what are we doing? That's nuts. Unfortunately, many of these types of things will likely pass. I'm not sure that affordable housing thing will pass, but the streets will probably pass. And what you really need is organized opposition in order to beat these things. They can be beat. I've done it. There's also another pretty big bond package going on in Arlington for the Arlington School District, and they want $500 million for 2 schools, and then some ball fields and technology and stuff like that.
Well, Dallas is talking about building new campuses. And we'll do some of this tomorrow, so I don't want to go too in depth. Plus, I'm out of time. Right. They're building a whole bunch of new campuses, and their enrollment is declining. Bill, in Arlington, it's absolutely insane. We'll be kicking them more in the teeth about this tomorrow. But yeah, hey, can the default position just from if you've never been on the James Show before, the default position for James Show listeners should be, if you see a proposition on your ballot that includes a bond, just vote against it. Vote against all bonds as your default position from here on out. And life would just be so much better if you had been doing this for the last 20 years. So we can start now is the least we can do. Thank you, Bill in Arlington. Coming up next, I got to give away some tickets to see Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper is going to be at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory this week on Wednesday. What are you doing Wednesday? You want to go see Alice Cooper? Call in. We're gonna play Dead or Alive next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's time for Dead or Alive on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Hey, listen, if you like these contests, you like winning concert tickets from us, we're doing a Kid Rock contest all week. That's not what we're giving away right now. I did it earlier in the show, but every day I'm going to play a clip from Kid Rock's Till You Can't. When you hear that, you're going to want to call in and win Kid Rock tickets for May 1st at the Pavilion, Dos Equis Pavilion. One of the daily winners is going to get an upgrade to VIP tickets where they get to be under the pavilion. They get a meet and greet. They get some VIP merch. It's going to be awesome. But for today's episode, Dead or Alive, we do not have that prize. We have tickets to see Alice Cooper. Hey, thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to Dead or Alive. Today's edition of Dead or Alive, the category is Peter. There's no euphemism there. These are going to be celebrities whose first name is Peter. We're going to go through. You're going to tell me Dead or Alive. Whoever's on the phone at the end gets the tickets to see Alice Cooper. It really is that easy. So we're going to start with Cindy in Denton. Hey, Cindy.
Hi.
How confident are you in your knowledge of Peters?
Fairly confident.
I'll just leave that there. All right, we'll start off. Number one, Peter Gabriel, the singer, Shock the Monkey, Sledgehammer. Is he dead or alive?
Dead.
No, dude, terrible start. Wait,
no, don't know him.
You don't know Peter Gabriel?
Okay. No, I don't.
I bet you if I played 4 of his songs, you don't. You know what? Don't hang up. We don't have a whole lot of people on hold, so it's going to cycle back to you. William in Royce City. You ready to play Dead or Alive?
Sir. Say, I think I can do better than what's her name.
Well, yeah, she got 0 out of 1. The next one,
alive.
Peter Sellers. He was in Doctor Strangelove and a few other things. Dead or alive?
Come on, dead.
Peter O'Toole. He was in Troy and Ratatouille. Is he dead or alive?
Dead.
Peter Frampton, the rocker. Dead or alive?
Alive and kicking.
Yeah, he comes alive. We get it. Pete Townsend, another rock star from The Who. Is he dead or alive?
Dead.
No, he's alive, 80 years old. However, I only have 2 people that hung on the line. Well, there's some other people calling in right now. But we go back to Cindy and Denton. See, I told you you'd have another chance here.
Okay.
All right. Peter Green, one of the founding members of Fleetwood Mac. Peter Green, dead or alive?
Alive.
You're terrible at this game. Hang on. Don't give up. It's just whoever's on the phone at the end gets the ticket. So, Cindy, you're still in this. All right. Well, that didn't take long. William, you ready?
What did she say on the last one? She said dead. He's alive.
No. She said alive and he was dead. Peter Green, and you don't have to get it. It's a 50-50. We're just on to the next one.
Dead.
Okay. Peter Falk. We all know him as Columbo. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
Peter Falk is dead. Oh, we have a late entry into the competition. Robert in Capel. You ready for Dead or Alive?
Let's do it.
Mr. Baseball, Pete Rose. Is he dead or alive?
Oh, dead.
No, he's alive. Someone's going to get these tickets, and we're going to have to force it on him, aren't we? Cindy and Denton, you're back up.
Pete Rose is alive.
Yeah,
he's not alive. He's dead.
Are you sure? Because I think I just looked that up. Let me look. I might have to.
I think he's dead.
Oh, well, then I owe someone an apology if he's dead. Pete Rose died? Holy crap, he did. He died last year. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no, he died in 2024. Oh, well, can that guy call back? I owe him an apology. I screwed him out of Alice Cooper tickets. Well, Cindy, at least you got that one right. It's the first one you got right so far, and it wasn't even your question.
I know sports.
I guess so. All right. Well, you're not going to like the last 2 then. I feel really bad for screwing that dude over. I swear I looked that up before the show. Anyway, Peter Fonda, Jane's brother, Hank's son. Is Peter Fonda dead or alive?
He's dead.
Yes, Peter Fonda is dead. Died in 2019. And finally, Peter Mayhew. He was the guy in the Chewbacca outfit in all those movies. Is he dead or alive?
He's dead.
Finally, we give away some tickets. Oh, man. All right, Cindy, you're going to get a very scandalous win on today's Dead or Alive. I really boo-booed there. But you caught it, and you're going to benefit. So just hang on hold. Good Garrett will get your information, and we'll email you the tickets. Yeah, so the tickets today, 2 tickets to see Alice Cooper, The Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory, April 15th. Yes, that's in 2 days. For the rest of you, go to livenation.com if you want to see Alice Cooper. This has been today's edition of Dead or Alive. All right, coming up next, if you're looking for some ways to make a little bit of money on the side, the Treasury Secretary has a new rewards program. I'll tell you about it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, you need to make some extra money? Want to save the taxpayers a little grief while you're doing it? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I hope you make millions. I hope you make millions off this new program from Scott Bessent. He's your Treasury Secretary, who was in Addison last month. His reaction to all these people who are taking the lead of Nick Shirley and going out and exposing fraud. There's a lot of them here in North Texas. Kaylee Campbell's doing it. Mark Palaciano's doing it. Sarah Gonzalez is doing it. Who's the other one? Kelly Smith. We have a lot of people who are going around knocking doors just like Nick Shirley did. Just two people, one cell phone, sometimes a Bluetooth mic, sometimes not even the microphone. They're going out and they're uncovering millions upon millions upon millions of fraud, waste, abuse, and they're not doing it for the money. They're not doing it because they're going to be rewarded. They've just been doing it because it's the right thing to do thus far. And, you know, you get some nice social media attention. However, think about it. If they just got a slice of the fraud they uncovered, how rich would Nick Shirley be? Nick Shirley could buy the Dallas Cowboys.
We are encouraging whistleblowers who know about fraud, people who are stealing from the American taxpayer, to come forward. At Treasury, we're setting up a website, and we will be giving rewards up to 10 to 30% of the fines that we levy.
10 to 30%? Okay. Now, that's not 10 to 30% of the fraud that's uncovered. That would be insane. Because if you take all the, daycare and hospice and all whatever fraud that he just did in Minnesota, there's maybe, I don't know, the guess is 10 to 18 billion dollars there. If you got 30% of that, your boy's going to be walking home with $6 billion. That's ridiculous. No. 10 to 30% of the fines that they levy. So if they, give them millions and millions of dollars in fines, take 10 to 30% of that, and still, hey, nice little chunk of change. So now, if you've been thinking about doing something similar where you go around town and you start exposing fraud, now you have an incentive. Now you have maybe some financial reward that's going to be tacked on to it. And I love that program. I love the fact, in fact, I think they should be able to keep like 1% of the money you uncover, 1% can be yours. Which, if Nick Shirley uncovered $10 billion in savings for the American people, he would get that one-time gift of $100 million. And I know that sounds like a lot, but he's saving you 99% of the money that would have otherwise been spent. And the dastardly part about what he uncovered is that $10 billion he's uncovered, that clocks every year. So that's what happened this year. Next year, it'll be another $10 billion. Year after that, it'll be another $10 billion. Year after that, it'll be another $10 billion. So he's really saving you over the next 10 years what may be $100 billion. And he's going to get $100 million off of that. Hell yeah, we should be doing that. I'm surprised we hadn't been doing that already. That sounds like a great idea. In fact, kind of sounds like a no-brainer. Kind of sounds like, why aren't we doing this already? And then there's another local story I want to squeeze in before we get out of here, and it'll probably be on tomorrow's show in a little more depth as well. But there's a new Amazon plant that was announced by Terrell. It's huge. You know how big it is? It's going to be the size of one of these gigantic data centers. And you know what? It's going to use tons of electricity, and it's not even going to hire that many jobs because it's mostly automated. And no one's fighting about it. They're not telling you about the pushback. They're not having the community meetings where protesters are showing up and the media is showing all their signs and interviewing them. They're not going to talk about the traffic. They're not going to talk about the burden on the local infrastructure. This is going to make all of our electricity prices go up. No, it's just another development, just like a data center. But for some reason, the media doesn't want you to hate this one. So this is how it gets reported.
Amazon continues to expand its footprint in North Texas. City officials in Terrell told the Dallas Business Journal that construction of the 120-acre campus on Airport Road could start within the next few weeks. Amazon bought the land last June. That new hub expected to bring 1,000 jobs.
Oh, they even tell you what the jobs are going to be. Isn't that amazing? I had talked about the data centers last week, and I got a Facebook message, and this lady's like, James, you just don't understand. Me and my husband moved out to the country. We've been saving our whole life. We finally bought our dream home. And you know how awful it would be if someone came and built a data center right across from us? Yeah, that'd be bad for you. The rest of us get to use a data center. When you build your dream house anywhere, you don't get any guarantee that no one's going to build anything of size within eye shot of you. But also, I'm not getting emails from people saying, I bought my dream home and they're going to build an Amazon center out in the middle of nowhere right next to me, and it's ruined my entire life. You don't get it, James. No, I'm not getting those emails because you weren't told by the media to be upset about these. You're told to be upset by the media about some progress, about some development, about some projects, and not others. And you people are just falling for it as hard as you possibly can. And it almost breaks my heart to see how easily people who listen to WBAP and should otherwise have their heads screwed on straight repeat the socialist lines on data centers. Do you know when you are repeating what comes from the news, you're really repeating what comes from AOC and Bernie Sanders? Listen to this.
These data centers power thousands of high-intensity computer chips that are processing at all times and require massive amounts of energy.
She goes on to say exactly what you're hearing in the local news and every media outlet besides this one in Dallas Express when it comes to the data centers in Fort Worth, the new data center in Granbury, the new anything. But if it's an Amazon center, they don't care about how much electricity it uses. They don't care that it doesn't create that many jobs. In fact, they'll brag about the job creation. They don't care if it's an eyesore. They don't care if it'll make your electricity costs go up. No, they don't care. Stop being a sucker. Stop being one of the people that is easily duped by the rest of the media and pretending like you're impervious to propaganda. If you're against data centers for these lame reasons, for electricity or my view or the water, or the jobs or the noise or the... You're falling into the trap. You are being duped. You're better than that. Stop it. All right, stick around. Coming up next on the coming up next on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, it's our buddy Mark Levin. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go put up the podcast. You can find that wherever you're already listening to podcasts, but we prefer you find it on the WBAP app, but really, I'll take it anywhere else you can get it. I see you people on Spotify and that other one called Pie Chart or whatever it is. But go find it, share it, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube. I can use all the social media help possible. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP.